The older that I'm getting, the more time that I want to be boring or bored, because that's the money.
Welcome to the Profit Answer Man podcast, where business owners learn to scale their profits and cash flow and work less doing it. You built your business to fulfill your dreams and serve your mission. You're the backbone of America, creating the jobs and opportunities that keep our economy moving. And for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. We're Profit First certified. It's the first baby step in a journey we take our clients on, building cash-rich, margin-strong businesses that don't suck the life out of you. Check out the first 13 episodes of the podcast. It's Mike Michalowicz and my review of each chapter of the Profit First book. Around here, we speak cash flow, profit, and practical execution. No accounting jargon, no fluff. Most accountants, they might help you save on taxes, but they'll crush your cash flow and make you look unprofitable. That's not just a poor decision, it's a liability. We help you focus on what you love. And when we partner together, we become a profit center for your business. If we don't deliver a massive ROI on your investment in us, fire us. Want to see how it all works? Watch the video version on YouTube or head over to ProfitComesFirst.com to grab your free copy of the Profit Blueprint book and start making profit a habit. You built this business to serve your mission and your freedom. Let's make sure it pays you back big. As always, we're here to help business owners like you stop leaving money on the table and start keeping more of what you earn. Today, we're talking about the hidden traps that silently drain your profits and how to eliminate them for good. My guest is Lisa Hennigar. She's a nationally recognized franchise growth strategist with over 22 years in the franchising industry. She currently serves as vice president of franchise development at ERA Group. Her expertise spans franchise recruitment operations and unit economics, bridging the gap between sales and sustainable success. She's worked with iconic household brands, and she's a change agent. She understands how to focus on the KPIs and how to help you to be more profitable. Let's meet Lisa and see how you can do it too. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Lisa Hennigar. It's great to have you join us today.
I'm glad to be here, Rocky. Thank you.
And I'm excited to learn from you. Can you share a little bit about yourself and your business?
I can. Honestly, from a very young age, I really always loved entrepreneurialism. So I think it's just in my soul. But I got into franchising, which was really my leg into being around business ownership about 22 years ago. Prior to that, I went into the printing industry and got my degree in printing because I wanted to one day own my own print shop. But as we know, technology came about. And so after that, I really fell into franchising. I had the opportunity to build the first digital print program for US Hewlett Packard out in Roseville, California. And that showed me really how to put the right systems and how to save companies millions. So it was addictive. It was fun. There was no path. It was doing something that had never been done before. And that's where I thrive, quite frankly, thinking outside of the box. And from there, I fell into franchise development. I was lucky enough to be hired by a gentleman who was in his 80s, and he was also from a printing background. And he said, kid, back then I was a kid, he said, I'm going to take a chance on you. And he really taught me everything about franchising. I owe so much of how I think and how I move because of Walt Hamilton, quite frankly. Over the years, I've then morphed into different roles: development, operations, consultant, and now I'm back on that franchisor side, but I've been involved in boards. I was chair of SCORE in Detroit. So just anything that I can get my hands on to make an impact on people one at a time.
You've had a lot of different experiences working with business owners, working in
Yes.
businesses. So, what do you see that most business owners struggle with when it comes to generating an increasing profit?
There's a couple of buckets that I would put it in. I think it starts with their why. And I think people get into businesses for all different reasons, sometimes out of desperation, sometimes feeling unfulfilled in their corporate job. Sometimes they want to build wealth and they're seeing that pathway is not there. They may not be having time with family and everything in between. So I think some of the biggest challenges that I see is that as they're getting into that for whatever reasons, probably seems like a good reason, but they're not tracking what matters. Why? Because they don't even know how to. They may have understated how much capital is needed. They might have just said, "Hey, I just need enough to get going." And it may not take much, but they struggle in growing it the right way. And I think just defining your why. I really feel when someone really gets to the core of why am I doing this, it can help a lot of bad days. And I know that sounds very touchy feely, but I really believe in that. And I can tell you, I've never put someone in business ever. And I've really thought about it. I put hundreds into the 500s of people in business. If I have not known their why, they've never moved forward. And then people focus on people, not the numbers, because they don't know how to read them, how to manipulate them, what metrics are driving their business. So I would say it's in those four buckets for me.
So, let us talk about the why. I think most business owners ignore this,
Mm.
right? They're like, "Oh, that's touchy-feely."
Yep.
But here's what I want you to think about as a business owner. If you're going to compete against someone who absolutely loves what they're doing in this particular industry, and I'll call it their hobby. And what I mean by that is when they leave work and they've got a minute, they're trying to improve. Over time, they are going to constantly outgun you. There's
Mm.
just no ifs, ands, and buts about it because they have such a passion for doing what they want. If you're just there to make money, yeah, you might make money for a couple of years and you might get really good at it for a couple of years. But I think over time, the guy who's got the passion and the why is probably going to crush it.
I also think that when they're building teams, it's a lot more fun to work with someone that has some passion that you can understand their why, and then it's easier to get on their team and go the extra mile too. I'll give you an example. I was talking with someone last week, and this will probably not leave me because it was so I just couldn't make sense of it. And I said, "Why are you doing this? I mean, you're an accomplished C-suite guy. You've got tons of money in the bank. You got lots of options. He's recently divorced, like all these things. He's got so much there. He could do anything, and he's been successful at everything he's done." And I said, "Why are you doing this? It can't just be about I want to replace an income or I want to have an income." I said, "Let me open you up." And I said, "What do you want? Like, if you could do whatever you wanted and no one was looking, what would you do?" And he said, "Well, I would own a lake house." And I said, "Who are you taking?" And so he quickly was able to tell me that. "I'm taking my friends." "And what are you doing there?" So then he walked it back. And he said, "Well, that's not really what I want. I mean, I don't need that." And I said, "I really actually think you do. And until you really realize what it is that you want, you're going to struggle in making a decision and getting behind it, other than I'm chasing the best ROI." Because even if you look at someone's P&Ls, there's no guarantee that you are going to be able to match or outperform what that P&L says. And that's what I just think people don't realize, is that there's got to be something in the belly that helps you get up in the morning.
I was shocked that most business owners don't look at their P&Ls and don't know how to manage their P&Ls. But at the same point, when I realize how P&Ls work and how balance sheets work and how the numbers flow through them, I really am shocked at why we don't have a better way to look at the numbers than what the accounting reports are. And so that's why we built custom dashboards to really look at the numbers in a way that makes sense to the business owner so that they can understand what's happening, what the roadblocks are, what are the leading metrics that are going to bring about the results that they want. Because the current systems, if you're just going with what they give you, aren't super helpful. And on top of that, most business owners don't know how to read them. And unfortunately, I don't think most CPAs know how to teach you or really know how to do anything about what they show on their reports, because by then it's too late.
Well, and I think it's even deeper than that, Rocky. I think it is, okay, so let's say someone understands the P&L to some level. It's understanding what's driving that, what's behind that. And that's really, as you talk about a dashboard, that's the metrics. And every business is different. It's different. And you have to know what are the levers that you're moving up and down. And if I move this lever, you have to know how that's going to change your business. And you have to be able to predict and say, is it seasonality? Is it weather? What are those factors that you can't control so that you can make sure that you're controlling the ones that you can to ensure you're profitable in the end? And when I say the end of the fiscal year, whatever it is for you.
And that makes sense. We actually use 16 different levers that are all controllable to help business owners decide and make choices to be able to do that. And not all levers apply to every business because every business is different. Some do, some don't. What have you found? Have you found great dashboards out there or systems to better analyze the financials in a business?
I'd probably be the worst person to ask for this because being in franchising, we build them, right? And so for the most part, I've been involved with helping to build those. And really, I think it starts, and I'm thinking about your audience. You might have someone who's just, hey, I was a pool cleaner and I see this owner's house and I think I should have that house one day. So I'm going to therefore now become a pool cleaner. You can do that. But you've got to be smart about it. And you have to say, okay, what's the cost to get into it? What's the cost to maintain it? What's my mileage? I mean, you've got to really look at, do you just go running around town? So that's really key. Backwards re-engineering it to profitability, such as, okay, I'm going to do marketing. Do you have mechanisms in to track it? Where's your phone number? Are you out there online and is it updated? So when someone phones you and it's Sunday afternoon, are you going to lose that customer because you know what? They're calling 5 other people at the same time and they're going to keep dialing until someone answers. So how do you capture that? So those are just some of the early on, like the basics for me that I think really get missed.
They do. And I think the reason is they went into business to do what they loved. If they listened to you at the beginning, the accounting wasn't on the list. And so they don't pay attention to all these different metrics. And it doesn't matter what size they are. I can tell you, we see this with 7-figure, 8-figure business owners. It doesn't matter how much revenue they have. If they don't learn the basics, they might be able to drive revenue, but they're always struggling with cash flow and what's happening at the end. Have you seen something similar or have you had better experiences?
I was just thinking of a point right now, and I don't even know why it's popping in my head, and I'm going to go a different direction if you're okay with it. But I'm just thinking of like a silver lining, like what's the one thing that you could do in your business today that would ensure that you were better than someone else? And I'm curious what you're going to say about this. It's literally customer service. It's how you handle your customer, because that, I think, fundamentally, when I'm looking at business today, is one of the things that is the most common not being done properly, not consistent. And all that rolls up to that dashboard and those metrics. And so I'm going back to my pool story of the phone ringing because this recently happened to me. And it was a Saturday. I just bought a new place and I needed a pool guy because it's probably been 25 years since I've owned a pool and taken care of one. And I'm thinking, am I burning up my motor? I don't know. And and then a week and a half later, I started getting a phone call every day from another pool company that came into the office on Monday and started to reply to my inquiry. And I'm thinking about all the resources that they took to try and reach me. And I had already moved on and became a customer to someone else.
Speed of execution and speed of response in today's world is what it's at. Now, the good news is there's AI that can actually answer phones. You can figure out call centers at very reasonable prices today. There are a variety of ways to do this where you, as the business owner, don't need to answer the phone on Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you know the company that you actually ended up talking to? Do you know how they were able to respond quickly?
Well, it's funny. It's just a small guy. I live down in the Panhandle, so I live in a pretty wealthy area. And so he focuses on that wealthy area, and his model, and he's very smart. His model is he's only going to accept certain clients. He's not looking to have hundreds of clients. He's not looking to scale because he's done that in the past. And so he's looking and saying, who's my ideal client? And it was a Saturday, and he's kind of old school. And so he's not one of those, fancy places. But and I asked him a lot of questions while he was here. He's very profitable. He's very profitable compared to someone who might have 20 employees who may not be profitable because they're not looking at efficiencies. They're not looking at, again, I talk about just the driving pattern. I had a service person drive an hour and a half to come and give me a quote. Now you tell me how, and any way that you put that on paper, that makes sense. That's when you you make a referral with a business that's like yours in the other town and say, hey, listen, I want to give you a referral. But to take your time and to drive an hour and a half.
I don't disagree with you. So you said the important thing, though, at the beginning. He focuses on wealthy clients, which means they have money and they're not going to nickel and dime them, right?
That's exactly what he said. And that they're not going to be standing over him, checking everything, that they want the job done right. And that's where they over deliver. So when I called him, I said, I'm a high maintenance client. I like to know how things work. And I said, but after that, and so he took the time to help me learn the system because it was new to me. And that meant everything to me. And I don't care what he does wrong. I will always forgive him for it because of that personal touch that I needed as a client.
And I think that's what's missing in a lot of places today. When you're owned by private equity and you see those big fancy trucks and all, that is definitely missing a lot of the time. So that is a competitive advantage that you can win by. I will say, I know a lot of people in the trades, and that's the conversation we have. Do you want to grow big and scale, or do you want to stay small, have hardly any headaches, do what you love, and make lots of money?
And you could be as profitable as a small guy. You can be more profitable if you scale properly. But I think what happens is people don't know how to scale properly, and they end up actually working for their employees.
Yeah. So how do we scale properly?
We scale properly by metrics, by tracking, big time, and really looking at your resources. And it starts really by documenting. Do you have documentation? Are you bringing people in with the proper training? And a lot of times an owner doesn't want to do that. Then you go to the flip side to more executive level people who are looking for businesses. And I'm involved in consulting, right? So you take people like us who have been around, we have something to offer, and you can have a very profitable consultant and you can struggle as a consultant. It all comes back to tracking. How are you scheduling your day? How effective, and really being honest with that tracking instead of just saying, well, I was busy all day. Doing what? Was it driving revenue? Was it improving from a leadership standpoint? Were you in the community? I'm trying to make it seem simple, but I think it is very simple.
Well, people don't do simple. Doing simple is hard.
And what about discounts, right? Are you thinking marketing is about let's give a discount, but then going back to the P&L, going back to the numbers, not truly understanding the true cost of your service? So, what are you paying your employees? What's the overhead of your building or your vehicles or your maintenance or your insurance or your liability or your workman's comp? And so when you're discounting that, a lot of times you're paying Groupon, you're working for Groupon or whatever it is, no offense, Groupon. I think those are some of those other hidden pitfalls. On a short term, it's good, but if that's your strategy long term, I can almost predict you're going to be in trouble.
You are. There's no doubt about it. You have to do all these things right. So there's the age-old question, when I'm not making money, do I drive more sales or do I cut costs? Or do I do both? Or does it depend?
It really does depend. I think it has to do with your conversion. I mean, this is what I do. It's having the right people. And do you have the right people? Are you helping them to convert? And then looking at your client, are you bringing in the right clients? And I think you always have to be thinking about not reducing or cutting, but paying attention to the true cost. And are you reading the contract? Is there areas where that's going to cost you in the future, where it's an auto renew, or it's, I see this a lot in leasing. It blows my mind how many people sign leases. They don't get anyone to look at it, and they're paying for CAM, they're paying a percentage of their sales, they're paying for all of the cost of the building. And at the end, they have just this really horrible lease for them. And it's not assignable. So those are some of those hiddens of just not looking at those opportunities. They've got a phone bill or cable. You usually get an incentive, but is someone paying attention before that runs out and it increases to go back and renegotiate it? So it's not necessarily cutting things. It's paying attention. But a lot of times business owners get so busy that those little things don't seem big. So they're like, it's fine, but they do add up. And that's profit.
I have calendar notes for when things renew.
Oh, I need to do that.
And so it just tells me, okay, call so-and-so because I know the ones that will hammer you. And so those are the ones that I have on a calendar invite, or the ones where I sign up for a 1-year subscription and I'm like, I'm going to try this out. Of course, 6 months into it, I stop using it. But so I put that on the calendar so that I know I need to go cancel that before it does renew, because automatic renewals get very nasty. Or we have a second way of doing it. We use what are called virtual cards. So Citibank will give you a virtual card number and it expires whenever you tell it to expire. So I can say I can go 6 months out and have the card expire. And so in 6 months, if they try and bill me, it's going to error and they have to email me or call me, and then I can ignore them if I don't want to renew it. And it automatically
I love what
cancels.
you're saying. And you made me think of something else, is that there's that old adage of you don't get if you don't ask. I think as a business owner, you must always ask, swallow that pride. You must always ask and ask again for a discount or some sort of buy one get, whatever it is that's going to help from the expense side. And I'll go back to the sales. I learned this early on. I worked for a tool company, and I think they were some of the best at this, the gimmicks. And no matter what business you're in, you can think of gimmicks. And I'm a big one. I hate discounting. I hate that word. I believe in rewarding your clients, your customers, whatever it may be, by doing something you want favorable and then giving them something else. So essentially, when you look at the margin of that, your margin increases with doing that because you're actually selling more and you're getting them in the habit. So I like to look at that line of thinking. And I've often seen in business, a lot of business owners miss out on that big time.
Well, if you don't take the time to think about your business and work on your business, then you start to do that. The simplest way to negotiate is to ask the question, is that the best you can do?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And then
and
stop talking.
stop talking. Yeah. Being quiet is amazing at getting results.
I've been known to just stare at people and then they'll go, was that a question? Hmm? I'll wait. Think about it. I think it's really important. The older that I'm getting, the more time that I want to be boring or bored because that's the money. When you're thinking back at that activity and going, what did that activity do? It's the same thing, when you talked about sales before. I'm thinking of, I'm not going to say the name, but I was involved with a service business and it was a retail and a service franchise. And you had someone that go in the house to sell the project. And so they were really good at converting it. But where the issue was and profitability, where it started to slip, was that person trying to sell something that was not profitable. Meaning the way they designed it, or they picked a product that the shipping cost was more. So little things like that can eat away. And a lot of times owners don't even realize, like, why weren't we profitable? It takes them a while, or that job, if it were configured just a little bit different, could have been 3 hours less of the man hours there. Just little things like that of just really looking, if you're in a service industry, of looking at the time, looking at the layouts, and really sitting with your team and saying, hey guys, let's just look at the week. But a lot of companies don't spend that time to get with their team because they look at that as costing them money. But really it's making them money, because the more you connect with your team, that's where the money is. Listen to your team.
And that's why I'm a big fan of EOS. I think you also love it as well, don't you? How has it helped you, or how have you seen it help companies?
So I got involved with EOS. Of course, Gino was very involved in the score in Detroit, but that service industry franchise I was working for, I really got introduced it in layman's terms from my team. They were really good at it. I learned so much from them. But at that time, I was supporting the the Northeast. So all the way from like New York, Jersey, down to Florida. And all of my owners were, I think the lowest revenue was about 800,000 all the way to 8 million. And we instituted EOS in like the $8 million. And it really took it, some of these things we're talking about, the team meetings, the wild goals, and really saying, hey, what if there were no obstacles and we could think of anything, and just getting your team. I watched that business almost double, not only revenue, but profitability, because now they've got all hands on deck. They've got all the voices. They're taking the time. The team members felt more valued, and everyone was rowing in the same direction. And it became less of a talking point, which a lot of companies do. Hey, this is our mission. This is our vision. These are our goals, but it's empty. So I think all of your listeners, your book included, you've got to fixate onto having some level of philosophy that's not yours. Someone that came before you that you can really center on and say, okay, we're going to work this model and tie it back. But I think a lot of people, they kind of rely on their own, and good and bad. It's bad because they're missing out on someone who came before them that has made it crystal clear on some things that could really help their business. So
that makes sense.
Walls of books.
What are you working on these days?
So a lot. We're getting ready for our conference. So I'm part of a global franchise. In fact, we were just named the #1 global franchise. And I love to say, who can really say that they're the #1 franchise in the world? So that's super fun. So we're getting ready to bring in probably 34 countries, helping more people get into business. I really work with executives more so today, and really helping to pluck people out of the corporate grind. They want to. And I think, too, we said, it's when you're waking up and you don't want your feet to hit that ground, it is a time to just look in the mirror and get real with you. You don't have to talk to anybody. Just talk to yourself and really ask yourself, what do you want? Why don't you have it? And usually, Rocky, we're the reason, our own. Could be ego. It could be chasing a title. It could be a lot of things. And then that fundamental question of, what am I willing to do? And this is where people they're not willing to do anything different, because it might mean one less social thing. It might mean one less vacation for a year. There are things that often you have to give up in a way, and then deciding, when do I want it? And just like that guy with the lake house, if he really could do that work and say, when do I want it? I bet you $1 million he'll have it.
When you know what the target is, it's hittable. Like you figure out how to do it. But when you don't know what the target is, you're wasting a lot of energy. And that's really what it comes down to.
And sitting at the center of everything is you. And what a lot of people are unable to do for whatever reasons is, when they stop making excuses about the past, the present, and the future, and really get real. We are such incredible as human beings. I mean, we can do so much. And that's what I love about entrepreneurialism, because yes, there's people that start and they have a bad experience, but usually those people will get up, learn some things, and do it again. Not always, but you'll look back and they'll say, I am so thankful from that, because this is what I learned. And to me, that's really living, is every day being a challenge, and every day having tiny little failures that you're not willing to walk past. But you actually say, wait a minute, let's do an inventory of this. Go back to sales. What did I do really well with my planning today? What did I do really well with educating people today? What did I do really well with attracting the people that are going to be profitable for us? Just getting into those details. So obviously I have a lot of energy. I never stop thinking. And I think business is that way, right? It's always innovating. There's always going to be a different, better way tomorrow. If you want to get real, it's possible.
You just have to decide and then take action on it and go make it happen. That's what it's always about. And too often we grind it out without doing any of that. And we make it a lot harder than it needs to be.
It's not complicated. You're right. It's intentional. It's not built from day one. There's blood, sweat, and tears. That's where that comes from. And you'll not only grow a business, but if you do it right along the way, you'll build the life, the freedom that you want, and you'll also bring some people with you. And I think that's the best part of it all. Stability and wealth.
Hey, we went into business to have time and money. And if you're not having that, there's only one person to blame. It's you. You didn't set it up correctly to have time and money. So you just got to work on that.
And I think that's the challenge, because who can you trust, right? Because then I think it gets into that prideful moment of just almost hiding. And it's that robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of mentality of kind of having that. You see it all the time, where you've seen people in the community and then all of a sudden you see them on the news or in the paper that they were embezzling, or, there are, I mean, I don't want to take it there, but I do think that too, when you're in trouble, find someone that you can trust to talk to and say, hey, I'm out of my league here. And, you might talk to somebody at first and maybe they're not the right person. Don't give up. If that's something that you believe in, find someone to help you, because I can guarantee there's always someone out there that does want to help. And then they're not always wanting to charge you. You can have mentors all over the place. I can't even think of all the phone calls I get in a week. And I'm going to always take them.
That's awesome.
And you're probably the same way, Rocky.
Very much so. If people would like to learn more about you and your businesses, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So right now I am the vice president of franchise recruitment with Era Group. And I would love to help someone who is struggling in their career or a fear of losing their career or listening to this and say, that's me. I need a change. If you're an executive level person, I would love to help you with an executive consulting opportunity, talk with you. You can reach me at lhennigar@eragroup.com. And if you want to just reach out to me personally, it would be lisa@franchange.com. And I'm on LinkedIn as Lisa Hennigar. Link up with me. I'm an open networker. And I really hope that there was something that we talked about today, we shared today, Rocky, honestly, that maybe shook somebody up and said, what am I doing? I deserve more. And I hope that we change some lives just in that one little thing to just maybe just kick somebody a little bit and go, hey, wake up. What you want?
Makes a lot of sense.
Good
Thank you
talking
so
with
much
you.
for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
I hope Lisa's insights help you to spot the profit pitfalls you might be missing. And we discussed some practical ways to turn them into opportunities for growth. Remember, building a profitable business isn't just about the numbers. It's also about creating the life you actually want to live. If you're ready to go deeper on the softer side of success, purpose, and freedom and fulfillment, check out my other podcast, Richer Soul. That's where we explore that. But at the end of the day, you've got to have the money to be able to live the life you choose. And remember, you don't need more resources. You need to be more resourceful. As always, we focus on the bottom line. Thanks for listening to The Profit Answer Man, where we believe more revenue doesn't mean more profit. And the bottom line is what really matters. If you're ready to stop living, check to check, take control of your cash flow, and finally get paid what you're worth, we should talk. We work with 7- and 8-figure businesses and well-funded startups. If you're a smaller business, check out the Profit Blueprint program. It's a do-it-yourself solution that also can come with my direct guidance in the same level we give our one-on-one clients. When you're ready for results, book a discovery call. There's a link in the show notes or at profitcomesfirst.com. You'll be speaking and working directly with me. In the meantime, grab your free copy of the Profit Blueprint at profitcomesfirst.com. It's the next step to turning your business into a consistent cash flow generating machine. If you'd like to dig more into leading yourself, your company, and building the ultimate life, listen to my other podcast, Richer Soul, where we cover these topics in great depth. There's a link in the show notes. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.